Yeah. So in terms of what we do, so I own a company called Veteran Compost. I started in 2010. Long story short, if you want to hear the sad story, we can go to Whitlow's and get 2 beers at lunch and I can cry in it for you. But what happened is I got out of the Army after several years of doing counter explosives. Not a lot of counter explosive IED work in DC. Luckily our streets are clear, so I had to find something else to do. So I was looking around at sustainable businesses and agriculture and discovered composting. So 2/3 of what's in every trash truck in America every day going by you could be composted. So huge amount of raw material, huge demand for the end product, and luckily at the time in 2010, not a lot of regulations and rules. You can kind of teach yourself and jump on into business. So that's what I did. Started in 2010, it was a one-man show, so it was me, and started it. First, we started in July of 2010, between July and December of that year, made $350. It's not profit, that's total revenue, so that's probably the worst producing farm in North America for 6 months. So lots of bills starting up, and we only made $350. I could have bought scratch tickets and done a lot better. So I ended up taking a job, so was working, got the thing going, and after 18 months, we pulled up and broke even, and we've been profitable ever since. So since then, we've now grown. We have 15 full-time employees. We operate 3 facilities, one in Northern Virginia in Fairfax County, one in Hartford County in Maryland, and we're building one in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. So those 3 facilities. We have 10 trucks out every day collecting food scraps and delivering compost. So what our business does is we go around to residential and commercial customers and collect their food scraps. We provide the bins, we pick them up, we dump out the compost bins, we wash them, and then we take all that material and compost it. And we do everything from 7-gallon bins on people's doorsteps to dumpster quantities out of healthcare accounts. So, and everything in between. So if you want me to name drop later, we can do that too. We have lots of well-to-do customers. Google the Ravens, just dropping names. So what we do then is the finished compost. That's what we're really in it for, is we make this great finished organic compost and a bunch of different compost blends that we market to agriculture. We are approved for organic farming, so by tonnage, the largest potential, or I should say the largest portion of our product goes to organic and urban farmers. We also sell a lot to homeowners and landscapers, but mostly to farmers. So that being said, and by the way, I have no agricultural background. I grew up in Columbia, Maryland, in Howard County in the burbs, so very close to the mall. So, I'm not an ag guy by background. So the 7 things I had that were written down here. So number 1 is, are you sure you want to do this? So it's not about wearing flannel shirts and drinking out of mason jars, which a lot of people we've hired over the year with environmental science degrees think that it is. This is really, really hard work. It's really not as well paying as you think, and it's just really, really hard work. So if you're going to get into urban or organic farming or any conventional farming, just understand what you're getting into, and maybe you should listen to your friends and family who are saying maybe do something else. Maybe I should listen. So along with that is, I'll say, and this is a problem across a lot of sustainable farming and urban farming, is don't be ashamed, embarrassed, or afraid to make money, okay? So part of being a sustainable farm is being financially sustainable. In 7 years of doing this and delivering to farms, unfortunately, a lot of our customers from 7 years ago are around, and some of them aren't, because they had a lot of altruistic views about the world, which is great. We're all going to save it together, but you got to pay the bills to keep the farm going. So if you're getting into this, you really need to be as much about business as you are about farming. So that was my biggest thing. So if you ever want to read a book, Gary Hirschberg, guy who started Stonyfield Yogurt, wrote a book called Stirring It Up. And his theory is very similar to mine, is if you're in sustainability and you make a bunch of money, people will see that and they will get into sustainability. So you can become this person that draws people in. So if you're in urban or organic farming or conventional farming, and you're driving a sweet car, everyone's going to say, I need to get into urban farming because that's where the sweet cars are. Just saying. So just don't be afraid to make money, because financial sustainability is as important as any type of sustainability. Number 2 is grow crops that make money. So the first 3 years I was in business, my dad called my farm the laboratory, because we were tinkering with stuff, we were making mistakes, trying to figure out the right products and processes and equipment. And make all those mistakes when you're really small, but at some point you got to figure it out. So the first year or 2 that you're farming, if you want to try 30 different varieties of stuff, cool. But after a while, you got to find what works. So I have an urban farm in the area that they grow like 30 varieties, but they'll admit after a couple beers that they really make all their money on herbs. So herbs are what pay the bill, the other stuff is really cool, and they know that, and so they make sure the herbs get watered and tended first every morning. So just know what makes money and make sure those crops, you're reevaluating that year to year. In our example, we used to sell live compost worms, and we discontinued that product line because we figured out it wasn't part of our core business, and it wasn't high margins, and it was a live product that a bag of worms doesn't sit well in storage, they kind of die. So if we don't have a shelf-stable product that has low margins and it's not part of our core business, we had to discontinue that. So if you want worm poop, we're all over it, but worms themselves we don't sell. A couple other nuggets here. There's a fine line between hoarding and keeping things until you need them around farms. So just be aware. There's a lot of things we keep, and we organize it in boards and pieces of metal and tools, and someday we'll need that. And then at some point you gotta constantly reevaluate. Maybe we're getting a little over there on the hoarding, so be aware of that. The ethnic food was great. That was one of the things I was gonna mention is, the last thing I'll say is just, trends are really important in agriculture. Know what's out there and what's trending. So ethnic food is a huge one. Cut flowers are really big. Edible flowers, microgreens, and in our line of work, we create products to serve those emerging types of farming. So we make a microgreen mix. We're making soil mixes for cannabis growers. We're looking for ways to make value-added products out of soils, which on the produce side, you make value-added products, you make more money. And on the soil side, you can do the same thing. So be aware of the trends and don't be afraid to hitch your wagon to that because there's ways to make bigger margins in that. And then finally, the last thing I'll say is, like I said, it's as much a business as it is about farming. So I went to a farming conference out in Austin, Texas a couple years ago to speak. And on the bus ride from the airport to the conference, a bunch of people in Carhartts and hats, and no one talked about nutrition for chickens, no one talked about their hay fields, no one talked about anything farming related. Everybody was telling stories about how much they were making per part of the chicken. So it was a business conversation the whole bus ride. How much are you getting for chicken feed? Oh man, you got a lady buying those to make earrings on Etsy? I got to find a lady like that too. And so the whole conversation was all about how to squeeze a couple more pennies out of every bird on the farm. So when you're doing this, just remember this is a farm business and you got to make money to stay in business. So that's all I got.
Mostly hire veterans, and if so, where do you find them?
Right, so the company's called Veteran Compost, so obviously my branding is super original and well thought out, right? Very literal. So yes, most of our workforce, actually all of our workforce is either veterans or family members of veterans. So in DC, all of our staff in this area, we have 7 employees that work in the DC area, are all veterans. We've done, short of grabbing people off the street and bringing them to work, we've done everything but that. But we've done Craigslist ads, we've done a lot of veteran outreach, and then a number of our employees have come from Easter Seals as a program for veteran. They call it the Veteran Staffing Network. And so we've worked with Easter Seals, and we send them job listings, and then they find candidates for us. So typically, a lot of our hires, I know Carly had mentioned hire for personality. That's how we do all our hiring, is we bring people out for a 4-hour trial, and I give them cash. I don't know if it's illegal, I might be in trouble for saying this. Whatever. So we bring everyone I've ever hired. What I do is, and I recommend this for anyone in farming, is everyone has, I love this work, I love it, it's great, outdoors. What we do is we bring everybody out for 4 hours. You get whatever the hourly rate is in cash at the end of the 4 hours, and we're gonna try you out. And what I do is I typically walk away and I let them work with the other employees on things, and then I let the employees give me feedback. Are they going to fit our culture? Are they actually hardworking? When I walked away, they get on their cell phone and start smoking butts, or are they actually doubling down and working hard? So that's what I recommend too, is for all the people you hire, is try them out first. But Veteran Staffing Network, we've probably gotten 5 or 6 people from there. And then Facebook employment ads are free right now. So our last hire came via Facebook. We put that out. It kind of went out to the universe, and we got someone through that as well. But for us, veterans have ended up being a good fit. Obviously, I started the company because I didn't have a job, so I'm trying to pay that back. And when we talk about hiring for personality, I'm hiring for the intangibles. No one has a degree in composting; it doesn't exist. So I got to train everybody I get, and I'm going to train them the way I want to train them, and that's fine. So I'm looking for someone that's going to show up on time. They're going to work hard. They're not going to break my stuff. They're generally not going to steal from me. you know, and stay out of trouble. So you hire for the personality, and then we train them to do what we need them to do. So.